So, hello everybody. Welcome to our Kerio webinar series. My name is Carsten Maas. I'm Customer Success and Training Engineer EMEA. And today I'm here with my colleagues, Marino Vigliotti, he's Sales Engineer in UK, and our star for today, which is Anton Tikhonov, our Sales Engineer in Russia. He will be the guy who is leading this webinar, the webinar named Kerio Control Migration from Windows to Appliance. So I think we should start right now, and I will now hand over to my colleague Anton and have fun.
Hello, Carsten. Hello to everybody. Carsten, thank you for the introduction. I think, yes, we can start. So I will switch to the presentation mode and share the first slide of today's presentation. So it is shared. Let's start. As Carsten already said, I am from Russia. I'm Russian sales engineer in Kerio. My name is Anton Tikhonov. And I think that we should start with the agenda. So why we are here. So I believe that all of us already knows that Kerio is going to drop support of our Kerio Control UTM software application for Windows platform at the end of this year. And already we have terminated the development of new version for Windows platform, and we are going to stop the technical support of it at the end of this year. So, and I hope that this webinar will help everybody who is interested in migration to supported platform to find a suitable way to do it. So, the agenda. Today I will introduce you the summary of current Kerio Control UTM, so what it is and what it can do. I'll tell you about available deployment options. Also, we will discuss the migration reasons, why you need to migrate from the Windows to Appliance. And I'll explain and show how to do the migration of all important data that you need to move from Windows to Appliance. So today we will have the live demonstration. So the summary overview. Three main points of Kerio Control UTM. So the first of all, it is complete security system, including the firewall, the router, IDS, so intrusion detection and prevention system, gateway antivirus, a VPN server, content filtering system, and even more. The second point, it is the easy administration, which can be performed from any desktop or laptop as you wish, as well as from any tablet. This means that the web interface for administration is fully optimized for mobile web browsers. So you can access administration web interface from any point of the internet. And the third point, you may use Kerio Control UTM in three different ways: as a software appliance on a hardware of your choice, or as a virtual appliance, or as Kerio Control hardware appliance. So I think that we can move further to the deployment options overview and start with Kerio Control software appliance. So what is it? Kerio Control software appliance is, first of all, it's well-known Kerio Control plus free of charge secured network operating system. This operating system is named Kerio OS, and it is based on the Debian Linux. It is 32-bit Debian Linux with ability to support up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. So also it is called hardened Linux. I think you know something about it. It is distributed as an ISO image and can be installed on bare metal via CD or DVD or USB flash. There is no need actually to have any Unix or Linux experience to manage Kerio Control UTM appliance, because it is well-known Kerio Control, first of all, and it has the well-known web interface of administration. By the way, all modern Kerio Control appliances, including the simple and automatic configuration backup module, which can help you to configure automated backups of complete configuration of your UTM on same page cloud. It is our public cloud, Kerio public cloud, or using any FTP server of your choice. Also, because we are using the pre-configured operating system, there isn't any software application or hardware driver conflicts. So all applications inside the software appliance are tested and works well. And the last point, but not least, it is completely new and fresh platform for the product, equipped with good old and well-known web administration interface. So when you will install it, you will just know it, because it is the same Kerio Control. The next option is the virtual appliance. And its main difference from the software appliance is included tools for integration with virtualization platforms from VMware and Microsoft. So it's VMware ES6 Server or Microsoft Hyper-V and so on. And as probably you may notice that we still support Windows platform, but now in a little different ways. So we are not supporting the native Windows operating system for application, but we still support Microsoft Windows platform of virtualization. So if you have the Windows Server 2008 or 2012, you can use Kerio Control on it without changing the platform.
And Anton, sorry for asking. Anton, sorry for asking.
Sure.
And Hyper-V is, as far as I know, free of charge when you use a Windows Server, correct?
Well, yes, it is correct. Actually, there are two options. First, it is the additional role inside the Windows Server 2008 or 2012, or it is separate solution. It calls a Microsoft Hyper-V Server 2008 or 2012. It is completely free of charge, but it goes without any use GUI for administering. It's administered from the console.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So let's move on. And what are they distributed? What this virtual appliance is distributed. So first of all, it's for VMware hosted products such as VMware Server 2.0 as proprietary VMX file. Also, it can be used in the VMware Player or VMware Workstation, but we prefer to use it inside at least VMware Server. The next option is for VMware ES6, ES6i, or vSphere in the OVF Open Virtualization format. And the third option is for Microsoft Hyper-V, as I said, as VHD file. So this way of usage, I mean the virtual appliance, will let you to better utilize the hardware of the server where you are going to start the virtual appliance, Kerio Control virtual appliance, I mean. Also run more than one appliance on a single server. So, for example, you would like to use Kerio Control, Kerio Operator, and Kerio Connect on a single server. But because there are only software appliance and virtual appliance of Control and Operator, you can use it on a single server with the virtualization platform. So we need at least a VMware virtualization platform to use all these three platforms, but you can do this. So if you are using the bare metal, you can use only one appliance, so only one Kerio Control or Kerio Operator. One more point. You may easily move Kerio Control virtual appliance from one server to another if you are using load balancing on or failover clusters in your virtual environment. So this is available options for as well as for VMware virtualization platform ES6 and for Microsoft Hyper-V. Of course, we're speaking about virtualization, so it is possible to easily adjust virtual hardware options without any difficulty. So if you want to increase the amount of RAM or add the additional hard drive or increase the CPU, it's quite easy to adjust these settings. Just in most cases, you even don't need to turn off your virtual machine. Just do this on the fly. And one more nice thing is ability to deploy Kerio Control virtual appliance without need of spending additional money to buy new or find not used hardware platform for it. So you just need to deploy virtual machine inside your current virtualization platform without additional payments. So let's move forward and speak about the Kerio Control box. It is our hardware appliance. It's quite similar to previous appliances, but with some additionally performed software adjustments and install it on hardware platform. So as a result, we have two boxes. 3120 is a big box for rack mount, and 1120 is a small box, is fanless for desktop placement. So Kerio Control Box is an Intel-based platform. We are using Intel Core i3 for the big one and the dual core Atom for the small one. Also, we have optimized the performance of these two boxes for different usage. For example, big box optimized for big installations as a central gateway in a distributed network architecture, and a small one optimized for branches in a distributed networks and for small installation, of course. With Kerio Control Box, you will get completely pre-configured Kerio Control on the board, so you don't need to make some additional steps in initial configuration. So everything is configured already. And the last point, but not least, when you're buying Kerio Control Box, you pay single price for complete UTM solution. So you pay single price for antivirus, gateway antivirus, for firewall, VPN, NAT gateway, web filter, content filter, and so on. So I believe it's quite important for the general usage of the product.
So Anton, one question.
Yeah.
So when I buy when I get it right, when I buy the Kerio Control Box, antivirus and web filter are already included.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So let's discuss the next question. So why migrate? So what is the reasons of this migration? So the first reason is the features. So now we have a single platform, and it means faster development in compare with two platforms development as we did previously. So previously we have two platforms, Windows and Appliance, to develop different features. And faster development means, of course, higher number of new features in each release. And actually we can easily check this. As you can see on the slide, there are features that we implement from 2010 to 2012 in our UTM solution for Windows and for Appliance platforms. And also, you may see now that we have 5 more features that we have implemented only for the Appliance platform. So, just count. We have 4 top-level features for 3 years for Windows and Appliance platform, and 4+1 top-level feature for 1.5 year for single platform. So why +1? Actually, the VLAN feature was added in the 7.4 release. Actually, it was the last Windows release of Kerio Control, but it was added only to the Appliance. So actually, it's not so bad, I can say, because we have much more feature for the shorter period. So it is really nice. But it is not the only reason. The second reason is software maintenance. And often I can hear an answer from the customers and from other guys that they don't need a support. And I always want to be sure that the guys understand what are they saying. Just here's an example. As you can see, yeah, I believe everybody knows about the heartbeat vulnerability, what was widespread not long time ago, and it took less than 24 hours to release a hot fix, and 48 hours for the service release for all Kerio products. So if you don't have a support or software maintenance, your software may be affected for such ugly vulnerabilities. It's very dangerous for the enterprise usage, I believe. So, as we all now agree that we need to migrate, here it comes next important questions. How to migrate? And here you are the preparation steps for migration process. So first of all, you need to do configuration backup. Actually, any important step in any IT environment should be started with a backup. So it is the first step every time. Then you need to install a Kerio Control 7.4.2 appliance. This version was the last Windows version, and later I will explain you why you need to use exactly this version of the product of the appliance. By the way, today during today's demonstration, I will show you deployment of the virtual appliance for VMware vSphere and for Microsoft Hyper-V platform. If you are interested in watching how to deploy the software appliance, you can follow these links on this slide, and there you find the nice video of the installation process. And the third point is to configure networking for UTM hosts. Most difficult way, in my experience, for our customers is to configure it for a virtual environment, and I will show you today how to do it during the next live demonstration. But before we will start with demo, also think that you need to know where to download the current and the legacy versions. So actually you can find this information on the slide. Of course, it is based on our website, support, control, then downloads. There you can find the latest version, and go down, and there you can find the legacy downloads option. So where you can download any version that you want of any our product, of course. So I think that's all for first part of the presentation, and we can start the first part of live demo. During it, you will see deployment of virtual appliances for Hyper-V and VMware vSphere, and basic network configuration for same virtual environments. So I will change the module and share my vSphere console. Hold on. Share it. So it should be visible now. Yes, I believe it is. So actually you watching on the screen of configuration networking inside the VMware vSphere client. Actually you can see here the some number of virtual switches which is used to make connections between virtual machines and the physical network clients and networking. You can see here that the standard switch, the switch 0, is used to interconnect some virtual machines with a physical Ethernet adapter on the ESX host. And other virtual switches, some of them are empty, some of them not. They are using to make connections between virtual machines inside the virtual environment. So I will show you how to add the new virtual switch. Actually, it's quite simple procedure, but I will show you it. So you need to push the add networking. You need to choose the connection type virtual machine. Here you need to create a vSphere standard switch. Actually, to be honest, you may leave all settings by default. You actually don't need to change anything. You just need to set some name that that will tell you something. So for example, we will use one, so wide area network. We will finish. To add a mapping for some physical interface after the creation of the virtual switch, you need to go to the properties and to the network adapters tab. Here you can add the new mapping or to the some physical Ethernet adapter. Actually, I have only one physical adapter, and I will not change its mapping because I need this interface to work with my virtual machines that I will use today for the live demonstration. But actually, you need to tick only this option and press next and finish. Then you will map the appropriate network adapter to virtual switch. This first virtual switch we are using to interconnect our upcoming Kerio Control virtual appliance to the internet, and one more virtual switch to connect our Kerio Control virtual appliance to the LAN, local area network. Same options, same way. So we need to add, if we need to add the physical network adapter mapping, just go to the network adapters tab, push the add button, and choose the appropriate network interface. That's all. That's all about the networking configuration in VMware ES6i or vSphere.
Shall we ask
Yeah,
if there are some questions already about this? So if you have a question, the chat window is
of
open.
course.
You can type a question into the chat window. Otherwise, we will just continue if everything is fine. So I do not see somebody typing. Okay, so let's continue.
Yeah, I think yes. So let's continue. And the next thing that we need to do in the VMware vSphere is to deploy the Kerio Control virtual appliance. First of all, we need to get the OVF link to import the virtual appliance from the Kerio servers on the internet to our local virtualization server. And we can find this link on our website, of course, www.kerio.com. Support Kerio Control. There we need to scroll down. Kerio Control VMware Virtual Appliance OVF instructions. So push this option, and actually we have everything that we need to import the appliance on this page, but I will demonstrate you on the live. So we just need to copy link address. So this is the link of the appliance. Then we go back to the vSphere console, push the file, deploy OVF template, and paste the copied link. So push the next button. So we have some details of the appliance. We just some name, them up, next. So if you have some resource pools, you just need to choose the appropriate pool for this virtual appliance. Then we should choose the storage where we will save the hardware hard drive files and configuration files of the imported virtual machine, and the provision of the disks hard drive. But actually, we can put all this by default. The last important part, we need to add the right networking. For example, we have created two network virtual switch. So let's assume that network 1 is connected to the one wider area network or internet, and the network 2 connected to the LAN switch. So let's push the next. Here we can see the final results, and we can tick the option power on after deployment. If we want to change some settings to the virtual machine, don't tick it. If you don't need to change nothing, so just tick it, and after the downloading, and after the deployment, the virtual machine will be turned on. So that's all. Let's push the finish button and the deployment process begin. I think that we don't need to wait all this time because actually I have already deployed Kerio Control Virtual Appliance. Actually, at the end you will need to push only the finish button. That's all. So we cancel this deployment and go to the migration control. So here we have some Kerio Control appliance. It is the same virtual appliance already deployed. So that's all for the deployment and for the basic network configuration for the VMware platform. So now let's move to the Hyper-V, and we will use it on the Windows Server 2012 R2. And actually, here are the same steps. First of all, we need to configure the networking. Then we need to create a new virtual machine and connect it to the appropriate networking interface. So to configure networking, we need to run the Hyper-V manager, of course. Then there we should start the virtual switch manager. So the same situation, so the same name, so the virtual switch. If we want to connect the virtual machine to the external, it means that to the physical environment, we need to choose the external here. So the external type, create virtual switch, name, let it be WAN. Sorry for the Russian, WAN, yes. Here we're using the mapping of the network interface. That's all. All other options are by default, so it's okay. And we need to create one more virtual switch, the same external type virtual switch. We'll call it LAN, and map it to the different network adapter. Don't be afraid, it's a common issue with the Hyper-V server. Well, when you're creating a new virtual switch one by one, so it's quite common situation. So that's all with the network configuration, and we need to now to create the new virtual machine. So it will be new virtual machine. As example, we will call it Kerio Control Virtual sorry. Next, about memory, I advise you to use more than 1 gigabyte of RAM. Use at least 1.5, because for the upgrade process you will need more than 1 gigabyte of RAM. So next, connection. Here we can use only one connection, network connection. So I advise you to use the LAN, so that virtual switch that used to connect the virtual machine to the local area network, to be sure that you can access the web interface web administration interface from your local area network after when you will complete the deployment. So next here, and the next step is for the creating the virtual hard drive. We will not use the new hard drive. We will use the existing hard drive, actually downloaded from our website. I will show you where. So this is the same page where we get the information from the OVF link. Actually, here we can find the Kerio Control Hyper-V Virtual Appliance in download link. So let's back to the Hyper-V. So here we have some DHD file for the Kerio Control Appliance 8.3.1 is the current version for now. Open, next, finish. So that's all. The virtual machine is ready. Only thing that we need to do is to add one more network interface. So we add the network adapter, not the legacy network adapter, but the standard network adapter. Should add. We choosing switch. It is 1, and we should. So it's done. I think we can start it. So it is starting. Oh, sorry, because there is a problem. Yes, the file that we used for the virtual appliance is used by another process. I believe it's it should be completed. This process should free up our the VHD file. I will check this out. So let's start it third time. If it not, let's yes. It is some problem. So I can assume that the problem is not in the Hyper-V. Problem is the way I am trying to show you this. Actually, you may notice that this Hyper-V manager, actually this server 2012, is run inside the VMware. So it is nested. This Microsoft Hypervisor is nested inside the ESX. So maybe this is the reason, because there are some issues with this. So I suggest to move on and to the next part of the presentation, because there are a very important part of it, the migration of the additional user data. So I will show you how to move the logs, how to move the usage statistics, and so on. So I believe that we can move. So the next part of the migration, yes, it is important. This part is very important and actually is not documented. This part is about the moving logs and internet usage statistics data from Windows to Appliance platform. So all necessary data can be located on the path shown on the current presentation slide. So logs folder on the Windows installation can be found in Kerio Winroad Firewall logs, and the usage statistics in the Kerio Winroad Firewall star data and star FDB file. There is one important notice that if you would like to move also the logs and the internet usage statistic database, you will need to do migration between the last Windows version. So you need to have the 7.4.2 version on the Windows, and you have to have the same version of the appliance. This is connected with some changes that we have made in the Kerio Control Appliance 8.xx. So first of all, you're migrating the data, and then you're upgrading your version of Kerio Control Appliance to the current version.
So I first go to the legacy downloads. I download the OVF file for the 7.4.2 virtual appliance, deploy deploy it in ESXi, move my data, and afterwards I can safely update my 7.4.2 software appliance version or ESXi to the latest version. Correct?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Thank you.
No problem. Let's move to the second part of the demonstration, and I will show you how to migrate all this data. So first of all, I will need to change the sharing. Here it is, and my Windows Kerio Control. Of course, first of all, we need to save this configuration. Actually, we have some configuration here, and we need to move this configuration to the new appliance. It is a simple way to use a configuration assistant. It will help us to save all that data that we have inside the configuration of Kerio Control. So just push the export button. It will advise us to save configuration. Name it. save. This is the first step, of course. So then we need to prepare our appliance. Actually, I have it already deployed on the VMware. And first of all, we need to be sure that we will be able to upload the data. I mean the data, when I tell data, it means the logs and the usage, internet usage statistics. So for this, we need to enable SSH access. It's easily done from the system help menu. We need to push the shift button and click the tasks button. Here we find the enable SSH button. So just click it and yes. But this is not all what we need to do. We just enable the SSH server, but we need also to allow this traffic comes from that location where we are right now, so where we are going to be when we will migrate the data. So just some rule, remote administration from any source to the firewall. Actually, we're using to access the Kerio Control web admin, but we add also the SSH servers there. Okay, and apply. So that's all for the preparation steps. Now we need to connect to the appliance via SSH. We will use the SCP client. It can use the SFTP protocol to connect to the server. So we will use this client to connect to the appliance. We will use the username root and the password of integrated account admin. So we have the simple password here, just 1, and enter. Some connection, and here we are. So actually here we can find the Linux root, and we need to put all data to the folder var, inroad, and appropriate folder for the logs. Logs, and for the usage statistics star data. So we are now connected to the appliance, and we need to get this data from the Windows Kerio Control. It's easy to locate. Actually, here it is. It is program files. It is installation folder by default. Program files, Kerio, WinRoad, firewall, logs. So here we are. Just copy it. Let it be some desktop, some folder, and some migration. Let's paste it here. In one more folder will be star. And let's download the star database. So it's star data star FDB. Vol stars FDB is based on the voluntary statistics. We don't need it actually to migrate. So put it here. Okay, we have all data on our PC. Now we can move it to the appliance. So let's locate it here. Where is my desktop? Migration star data. So let's put it here. And the logs. You can remove all. If you don't need to remove, if you want to save all the logs, maybe you make some changes and you need logs on the appliance, you can just rename it. But I will remove them and replace them by this one. Actually, we need only log file, but we can fix well. So all data already on the appliance, but we need to do one more thing. We need to restart the Kerio Control inside the appliance. It is the second thing that is not documented, but I will show you that. So for that operation, we need to get access for the uh, virtual machine console. I will get it now. Here it is. This appliance is on Russian, but it's a common interface, and I believe that you know it. So to switch to the Linux console, you need to push the Alt F2 buttons. Login is root, and the password is simple, only one. Okay,
But
so
this is a password.
to
This is a password you have defined. What is the default password we are using for the SSH?
yes, it should be Kerio. We're not using this password for SSH.
Hmm.
It is connected to the integrated account of admin,
Hmm.
what is
And,
created after the deployment.
mhm. And what is your advice after we have moved and restarted all the stuff? What is your advice? Would you disable the SSH again, or would you keep it enabled?
I advise to everyone to disable it. Moreover, not only disable the SSH server, but also to disable the ability to access to the SSH
Hmm.
on the control. Uh, because actually the SSH access uh, in most cases needs only for the support procedures.
Hmm.
There's no need to use it in the regular basis. There's
Hmm.
no actually there's no useful options inside of it for the regular administrators. So only the way I'm using it only for the migration. So I will show some sort of comments, and
Hmm.
that's all. Then I will switch back to the regular console, and that's all. I will not use it anymore.
So you would only
So
activate it. You would only activate it on a case by case basis. Whenever it is not
yes,
needed,
yes,
switch it off.
of course,
Okay.
it is more secure than when it will
Hmm.
always will be enabled.
Hmm.
So let's move to the Kerio Control daemon restart. Actually, we can do it by the script. It is based box init d and sorry 60 wrote. Here is the script 60 wrote, and there is suitable options: start, stop, and restart. We will do the restart. It's restarting, and
By the way,
then
during
mhm.
when we see the restarting of the carrier control, there would be definitely be the ability for you to have a copy of this presentation, and I think Anton, it would be able for you to add this command also to the presentation, so the people
Sure,
can see what the command must look like. Correct?
sure. Of course,
Perfect.
it will not be a problem at all.
Perfect. Thank you.
So it's done. So we should to log off this Linux console and switch back to the regular console by pushing the Alt F1 buttons. So it's starting. Some sort of high load of my virtual server, I believe. Yes, it consumes almost all memory by the Hyper-V virtual machine. Actually strange, it should be started already. Okay, we can do the other way. we can do the turn off. Yes, sorry, this unplanned issue. Of course, I will just turn it off and then turn it on again. Turn it off, guy.
This is completely okay because we are doing it live. So you see, there are no videos already recorded. Anton is doing this in a live scenario, and as you always know, maybe by yourself, live scenarios can be sometimes a little bit challenging. But it's good that it's happening. As you just mentioned it in a small side sentence, you said your ESXi has some memory troubles. So this is exactly also something which could happen in your environment, that the memory maybe runs wild. So sometimes you need to do a hard reset of this virtual machine, which is basically safe, I can say, because it's a Linux, it's a hardened Linux. So you won't see any problems if you do a hard shutdown or a hard restart. It should be not the usual common way. You should always shut down also virtual machines in the normal way, not in the hard way. But okay, in case something happens like this, sometimes it's necessary to do a hard restart. By the way, during the restart, I just want to add one comment on the used hardened Linux. Maybe some of you could have heard the word hardened the first time today. Hardened means that it is a Linux which is, let's say, trimmed down to the only needs of the Kerio Control. This means we have taken off every component from this Linux which is not necessary to run the Kerio Control features and functionalities. And this is why we can have also named it Kerio OS. Um, so it is a Linux which is only used for this Kerio Control purposes. So this basically means a
So
hardened Linux. Hardened Linux means it is a trimmed down and stripped out Linux, which is only doing the things for what it is for what it is should be used for.
yes, exactly. Thank you, Karsten, for your help with this time, and thank you for this useful explanation because I just missed it during the presentation. But we now complete with the migration of the logs. So as you can see here, this is just a proof that we move the logs from the Windows version. The first record in the debug log is that we use the Kerio Control Standard Edition 7.4.2 system on Windows 7. So of course, now we're on the Linux. We can see it right here. So we just moved the data, some data. We also could check the start that database. It is settled as usual. And so this request us to log in. It will be admin, some password. So also there are some data. Of course, it is this data is quite small because it is not real data, but some tested environment. But you can see here that depth category is already used by someone. Uh, we can try to, which I believe that I have some, yes, some admin login because it was the quite small use of internet through this gateway. So there is not a lot of information inside the Kerio Control star interface, but uh, trust me, it will be moved without any problems. As you can see, I just need to reset the virtual machine. So that's why you need to have some backup of all migrated data. So for all logs, for all star database, for whatever configuration.
I think it's pretty
So
obvious. It's
yeah.
pretty obvious because, as we have seen in the statistics, there is a date which is not from today.
So let's move on and check the ability to move the configuration. So as you remember, I already saved the configuration from the Windows Kerio Control, and I need to deploy it on my appliance. So there's same option of configuration assistant, choose the import configuration, and upload the configuration file button. So the desktop, there is a lot of information there, and here is the migration open. So here is the network interface mapping. Yes, so we can map the interface from the important configuration to the actual interface that we used on the actual appliance. So we can leave the mappings as they are right now, because in most cases they are correct. So we just find the internet interface, the local interfaces, and mapping them. So let's next and finish. So after you're pushing the finish button, the Kerio Control will restart, and it will restart only the Kerio Control daemon, so the Kerio Control service inside the Kerio Control appliance, and then it will apply the configuration. So we can check the process in the console. So it's asking us to configure some IP address. I believe it already started. Shoot. Yes. So admin password. I'm using the same password for all tested environments. So it's always admin with 1. So let's look inside the configuration. Yes, we have some configuration here. Going to the traffic rules, and it is obviously this is the new rules which was important from this configuration based on the Windows Kerio Control. So it is moved without any problems. So we can find that we have some users inside with some configuration and group mapping. So it is completely moved. So we just check the config log. Everything is okay. So there's warning. Seems like okay. Because all this, by the way, all these messages are date yesterday and the previous day. So, but I create the appliance only today. So we have moved the configuration, and actually we are ready to upgrade our Kerio Control Appliance 7.4.2 to the current version. Right now, I just need to check the rules of the connections. Yes, it's allowed. Just need to check the HTTP policy, and we will move just in case. Automatic updates of Kerio products. And we will go to the advanced options, update checker, and here we are. We have the new version available, and it is Kerio Control 8.3.1. We just need to push the download button or tick the download the new version automatically option. In that case, when the new version will be available on our update servers, the Kerio Control will locate it and download it to himself automatically. So all you need to do after that, just to push the update button. The update process takes about from 5 maybe to 10 minutes. During the update, Kerio Control update the Linux core if we are doing during the new version release. It updates the Kerio Control core, of course, and then restarts the Kerio Control appliance. After the restart, you can access the new version of Kerio Control, so that you have installed. Actually, you can, if for some reason you need to limit the internet access to your gateway, from your gateway to the internet, you may download the upgrade image from our download page, and to perform the upgrade procedure manually. So just download the image file. Here it is, Kerio Control upgrade image. So download update. There's image file to download, and select this file in this menu. So upgrade by uploading binary image file.
During we are seeing this 43% now. Just let it run. Maybe some persons have some questions, so feel free to ask. If you have a question, the chat box should be accessible for you. So if you have a question now, as we are watching the status bar going by, feel free to ask a question if you have anyone.
While the participants are thinking about their questions, I would like to mention one important moment. You should keep it bear it in mind before you will upgrade to 8.2 or any newer versions. Actually, I have a slide for it in the presentation. Here it is. So after the Kerio Control 8.2, we replaced our old URL and FTP rules by the new content filtering system, and all URL and FTP rules are converted to the content filter rules, and of course all changes are recorded into the warning log. So if you after the upgrade would like to know what rules were converted and what rules were not, you need to check this log, and there you can find the detailed information about the conversion. So let's get back to the web admin. They're almost done. So it's only the download. Yes, of course.
One of the key thing is migrating away from 7.4 to from the Windows platform. Ideally, some people probably they want to just migrate it from the physical machine to the actual ESX or Hyper-V. They could actually keep the two versions, one as historical version where they can have all the logs and start anew with the new one. So do you think could be a reasonable step, so there would be less, there are fewer difficulties and less mess with this? So you migrate it?
Actually, it's up to the customers, because um, from my point of view, have everything in one place is much better than have more than one place to monitor. So if you need to logs, you may save all the logs from the Windows version into the text file or to the HTML format. It doesn't matter, and save it somewhere, so you always will have access to them. So you don't need to move this data to the appliance. But as for the usage statistics, I believe it is quite important to move it to the current version of the UTM, because it is very important to have all information about the internet usage statistics. So
okay,
it's up to customers if they want to save the historical.
Yeah, sometimes people they want to put aside the historical parts, and they will say this is what happened in the last 2, 3, 4 years, but the new ones I will monitor it from now on. So often they use the system upgrades as a new fresh start to look at the data in a better way. So just wanted to know what was your advice on that.
And maybe archiving this data is also necessary. You don't know it. Maybe you have, according to some law restrictions in some countries, you may need to have some proof for at least, I don't know, 3-5 years. So it's always a good idea to archive things. But Anton, I have one question. You just mentioned at the beginning your presentation, you mentioned a word which ticks immediately my attention. You said failover. The thing is, basically, we do not have a failover system in our Kerio Control at the moment, right, built into the Kerio Control. So just to make it more clear, again for the audience, When you have everything in a virtualized environment, you can easily do some failover scenario, as you can do screenshots, yeah, snapshots of your virtual machines, and I think also ESXi or vSphere has its own failover, um, let's say, technique or implementation. So you can monitor your virtual appliances you have in your vSphere or ESXi, and whenever there is some trouble, the vSphere environment takes care of it and switches over, correct?
Yes, you're right. So, but to be honest, it is paid features.
Yeah, sure.
They charge by the VMware and Microsoft. Uh, but yes, if customers already have the some virtual environment and they paid some money for it, it's quite often situation.
Hmm.
They can use our product inside these environments with all possibilities of link load balancing, and the disaster recovery. It doesn't matter. So they can
Perfect.
use any option with Kerio Control because it is normal virtual appliance that support I think almost all features that provided by the virtual modern virtual environments.
Hmm. Cool.
So as you can see, the update procedure already finished, and we can access the new fresh look web admin interface. And here we are, the new web admin with the 8.3.1 version. So this is the latest version of the Kerio Control. So that's all. The migration is complete. We may now turn off the Windows version completely and use the Appliance version instead of it. So that's all what I want to show to everybody. Actually that's all what I want to present today. If anybody have the questions, I will glad to answer all of them. If there's no questions right now, but maybe will be more questions later, you can contact me. And if I can answer this question, I will answer it, or we'll connect you to the appropriate person who can answer your questions.
Yeah, so first of all, I also want to thank you, Anton, for this perfect presentation. I think it was very, very useful. I also want to thank our big audience who has joined this webinar. Um, Please be prepared. There will be another webinar, and when I look at the votes, it will be definitely something like migration to Carry Connect from another mail server. Um, so please have a look in our partner portal, have a look at the announcements, so you will be aware of the new dates when they are coming up.